Today marks International Overdose Awareness Day. We've had these vigils for the past few years, and really, we know that overdoses are on the rise in our community as well, impacting both adults and children. Over the last decade and a half, over 1 million Americans have lost their lives due to the overdose crisis. And so we want to take a moment, a somber moment, to acknowledge and support the people in our communities who are fighting every day and who go unrecognized. They're fighting every day to raise awareness of the hidden impacts of overdose. We have amongst us people who are dedicated to raising awareness, educators, the impacts of overdose. We have people here who are working to learn how to teach people to recognize an overdose and how to save a life with Narcan. And we've done a lot of work distributing and training the community in the use of Narcan and getting it into the hands of people where it's needed. We want to recognize first responders who selflessly respond to emergencies and have saved lives while people are experiencing overdose. And let us not forget family, friends, and good Samaritans who have revived someone they didn't even know with Narcan. You have all made a difference, and we thank you for your service, for your continued dedication, and thank you for making this community safer. With that, I'd like to introduce our chairman, Christian Dorsey, who will speak about why we're here.
Thank you, Anita, and good evening to you all. It was 1 year ago today, as a matter of fact, that County Board member Libby Garvey read the proclamation that would recognize August 31st in Arlington as International Overdose Awareness Day. Now, International Overdose Awareness Day is the world's largest annual campaign to end drug overdose and to remember, without judgment, those who have died, and to acknowledge, without stigma, the grief of the family and the friends who are left behind. And so we are here tonight to share in that profound grief that's felt by family and friends who have had loved ones who have died or suffered permanent injury from a drug overdose. Drug overdoses are the leading cause of unnatural death in Virginia, and illicit fentanyl use is the driving force behind that. In 2022, more than 2,500 people died across the Commonwealth from drug overdoses, and that was out of a national share of nearly 110,000. In Arlington, we were fortunate that drug overdose-related fatalities decreased to 17, a far disproportionately low share of the deaths experienced across the Commonwealth. But for each of those 17, we don't just think about them through the lens of statistical analysis. We think about them as fully formed lives that did not have a chance to bloom to their full potential. For those individuals who did not have a chance to realize their hopes and their dreams. And our community understands that we don't think about drug-related overdose injuries and deaths as statistics, but as human beings, children, siblings, parents, relatives, neighbors, partners, and best friends. Now, the tragedy of overdose is far too frequent, but I do want to give hope because they can be prevented. For people who use drugs, supporting them in preventing overdoses and adopting safer practices in their use is a proven step towards hope, healing, and well-being. Harm reduction works. And that's why we support here in Arlington evidence-based strategies that more communities are adopting to recognize that this is a critical step along the continuum of care in supporting individuals. Overdose prevention, education, and recognition all play a critical role in saving lives. And everyone's life is worth saving. everyone's, and there is no wrong way. And in Arlington, we seek to provide no wrong door for people to find the necessary hope, to find healing and health for those who are struggling with substance addiction and for those who love and care for them. So thank you all for coming to stand up in this vigil in support of everyone, service providers, but most importantly, families who are dealing with drug use in the lives of their loved ones. And for those of you who are here tonight who have been impacted by overdose, I can only hope that your many memories can be a source of comfort as you continue to grieve the loss of your loved ones. Thank you all very much, and we appreciate everyone for everything that they do. And now I'd like to introduce the Assistant Director of the Department of Human Services, Deborah Warren.
Good evening, everybody. Wow, great crowd this evening, and it's just a beautiful night for this vigil, an opportunity for us to remember our loved ones. So I lit 2 candles, one for each of my brothers who had lifelong opioid addictions and died young, horrible deaths. So I stand before you not just as the Deputy Director of Human Services, but also as a family member who really has lived, had the experience of trying to help family members get the help that they need and accept the help that they need. I'd like to just share with you a few nuggets about ARI. ARI is the Arlington Addiction and Recovery Initiative. And I'd like to give a big shout out to Suzanne Somerville in the purple shirt back there. She's our bureau director who really initiated ARI in January of 2017. And it has totally bloomed under the leadership of Emily Siqveland, who is there, right there in the blue shirt. So I can honestly say that this group has come together and has grown in the last 6 years to become a true force in this community. It is a healthy, thriving collaborative of individuals who come from many different perspectives with a unified mission to identify ways that we can reduce deaths, prevent overdoses, reduce the supply of opioids, and connect people to the treatment that they desperately need. And I'd like to also give a shout out to Paul, Paul, raise your hand, from our Community Services Board. He's looking around, he's wearing his blue ARI shirt. I didn't notice you. Thank you for being here. Paul is the chair of the Substance Use Disorder Committee of the Community Services Board, which oversees all of the behavioral health and developmental disability services. ARI has a strategic plan that is very robust and very effective. I'm just going to give you a couple of nuggets just off the top of my head. One is that in the last, let's say, 2 years, ARI has distributed 8,000 boxes of Narcan. And if you go to ARI's website, you'll see a graph that shows that as we have distributed more and more Narcan, the overdose deaths have decreased. So there's definitely a correlation there, which means these unified efforts are working. It's a collective impact. Obviously, there is so much more work to be done. Obviously, there's the age of individuals becoming dependent on opioids, experimenting with opioids, maybe one time, and it's a pill, pressed pill with fentanyl. The age band is getting younger and younger. So ARI has mobilized itself in partnership with APS, our school partner, to ensure that we have opiate emergency boxes in every bathroom in the middle schools and high schools. Kids are now in Arlington allowed to carry Narcan. There's widespread training throughout the school system on how to administer Narcan. And I urge all of you who have not had Narcan training, please, please, please get it, because you never know when you're going to be passing by somebody who has accidentally overdosed. So tonight we're about remembering those we have lost and about gathering together to prevent any further loss of life. Because as Christian said, every life is worth saving. Every life is meaningful. So thank you all for being here tonight. Really appreciate it.
Okay, so now we're going to do something a little different. We're going to invite you all to interact with our storytellers. So you'll see these white chairs with purple balloons. So our storytellers, please start to find your way to a chair. We have 4 storytellers tonight. We're going to ring a bell and move you through each person so you'll get to hear everyone's story. But so we have Jim is already sitting in a chair over here. His prompt that we gave him is what I wish people knew about Narcan and harm reduction. We have Ed in the back over there sitting in a chair. He is representing our first responders with what I wish people understood about overdose. I see Denise making her way to a chair. Her prompt is what I wish people understood about addiction. Oh, and Daniel is already in his chair back there. He is going to share what he wished people understood about peer recovery support. So please wrap yourself around one of the chairs. We will ring a bell at the 5-minute mark, and we will move you to the next storyteller. So it doesn't matter where you start. Please just take a moment to hear their stories. We have 4 storytellers joining us tonight. They have prompts. So one is going to talk about what I wish people understood about addiction. We will have a first responder talking about what I wish people understood about overdose. We will have someone talking about what I wish people understood about peer recovery and recovery from addiction. And then finally, someone that will talk about what I wish people understood about harm reduction and Narcan.
There's something like 100,000 people are probably going to die this year from opioid overdoses, and that's just a tragedy, and it's something that I know I can help teach people, and so, why not? And I don't have to necessarily have any personal link to opioids to want to make sure that people suffer less and live longer.
So what motivated me is because I'm in recovery myself, and I know what it's like to struggle, and I know what it's like to not want to ask for help. But I have a lot of help here, so yeah.
And you're going to be a storyteller tonight at the event. What message do you hope people that listen to your story go away with?
I really want them to know that addiction is not self-will. It's nothing that can, you can't love an addict to get them clean. You can't lock them up. You can't put them in jail, institutions. I really want people to know that addiction is a brain disease, and it's more than self-will. It affects the brain. It's a disease, and that's what I'm hoping people come away with tonight.
So, the most important thing I want people to understand is that carrying Narcan is something you do because you care about somebody, either someone in general, the person down the street, or someone that you love. No one administers Narcan to themselves, so this isn't something that facilitates dangerous behavior. It's something that facilitates people continuing to breathe. And so there should be no stigma about it. It's something that you do because you want your fellow human being to continue to live. And it's really easy way to save someone's life, and it's the only way to save someone's life from an opioid overdose. And so the main thing I try to get across when I'm training people in Arlington is this is really simple. You're not going to get hurt. You're not going to get in trouble. You're not going to hurt anybody. And it's the only thing that's going to save someone's life. So get moving, act quickly. There's no downside. And there's infinite upside. Someone gets to live. Someone gets to get a hug the next morning. They get a kiss. They get to go into rehab. They get to do anything. You got to keep people alive.
And then, of course, remembering those that we've lost to overdose. We will read everyone's names and light some candles and have a silent remembrance.
They had no time to say goodbye, or thank you, or I love you, or I'm sorry, not even a goodbye. By the time they had a chance to reach and receive care, they were gone. And their lives, and a huge part of ours, came to a standstill. In the days following, people said what they needed to say. There were tears and anger and laughter. And their going was not what we would have wanted, and it happened. Their death left us with grief and loss and questions and memories and long days and long nights. The special task that falls to us this evening is to create an enduring connection with those who have died from overdose, to lessen the space between the living and the dead, and to encourage and facilitate the safe expression of all the natural grief reactions, and to bring assurance that stories and names are known and heard. There's work in remembering those who have died and us relearning a life and a world without them. This work is not for us to do alone or in isolation. It's together in community. And we create a community among those who have died, fostering that enduring connection by bringing forth the names of those who have died in this public space. We also create community, and we also remember by lighting candles and gazing upon an enduring, fragile flame. Marti Mefford, who works in harm reduction, and I will read the names of those who have died from overdose. After we read the names of those loved and lost, there will be a time for you to call out silently within or out loud any names not included on our list. And after we say the names of those who have died, you'll be invited to come forward with your candle to one of the bowls of sand placed up front. You can light your candle, and you can help each other light their candle and place the candle in the bowl. There, your candle and all the candles will extinguish on their own, in their own time, in a natural process. And then you can find your way back to the group. So Marti and I will call the names. You move forward with the candle, you light your candle, and then you return back to the center. So here are the names of those loved and lost. Walter White, Isabel White, Chase, Moses, Glenn Shaw, Bucky, Nita, Ray Hernandez, Celine, Jason, Scallywags, Scally, Sabrina Jennings, Ashley, John David, Wade, Willie, Juice WRLD, Hannah, Chris, Victor, a loving father, Mary Ellen Johnson Goodwin, Nick, KB, Brett, Brian, Ashraf Hassan Ibrahim, Daniel, Nikki, Angela Peacock, Rebecca, Carlos Rodriguez, Dave, Ray, Julia Vandermeer, Bernie, Justin, Blanco, Justine, Daryl Patterson, Lisa.
Mickey, Corey, Megan, Ronnie, Manny Flowers, Rochelle, Jonathan, Joseph, Isaiah, Adele, Tammy, Amy, Jean, Tika, Allison, Alex, Tina Marie, Jeffrey, Travis, Andrew, Troy, Andy, Joe, Aunt Kathy, Dana Lynn Helfer, Timmy and Crystal, Chris Gear, Haley Miles, Rachel, Michelle Artslaka, Jonathan, Steve Tate, Matthew Valley, Stephen Middleton, P.A. Sector, Justin Shepard.
Juan, Zachary Bolden, Ali Sharit Mon, Lily, Dino, Marcy, Zachary Ruse, Cynthia Nelson, Jeff, Brenda Lunsford, Manbir Manny Singh Nehal, Nicholas Perkins, Stanley Hall, Garrett Charters, Gutierrez, Ethan Beck, Lloyd Dunley, Chris Atwood, Daryl A. Tuck, B. Pettis, Roland Earl, Mahmoud Belhad Nasir, Carrie Lilly, Colton, David, Henry, Jillian Songbird, John Bishop, Kevin Pryor Big Kev, Peace, Aaron Richardson, Nina, Vanessa O'Donnell, Alan Levine, Denise Redford Tatum, Rihanna Pursley, Donnie Kimball, Angie Joseph.
Samuel Sneck, Charles Nardella, Christine, Mumbo, Leonard Johnson, Clark, Nate, Grandfather, Michael, Angelia Yobbs, Mayon Roberson, Mike Pape, Sedefin Diaz, Anna Marie Skirba, Hazel Ruiz, Annie B., Devin Alexander Boulins, Charlie P., Michael V., Ian, Brogan, Luis Gerardo Flores Cooper, Rodney, Doug, Jetty Thatcher, Lexi, Carolyn, Logan, Adrian Rahim, Kyle, KK, Lauren, Brianna, Sergio Flores, Romana, George, Matthew Kreiner, Sharon, Hayden, Sarah Lynn Rahim.
So trust the names and stories of those we've loved are known. Their names and stories are among us. We've commended them and released them into community. May it always be so.